Hey everyone, welcome to our technical presentation for the Chemical Engineering Seniors at UConn. We are design team number 6, and our team members are myself, Tom Pauly, along with Justin Welsh, Ron Cabello, and Chris Tang. The title of our presentation is The Design and Operation of a Wastewater Treatment Plant. As the name implies, our technical presentation will teach you all about the purpose, design, and impact of a conventional wastewater treatment plant. This presentation will tie together multiple disciplines related to water quality engineering, including the 3 different levels of wastewater treatment, typical contaminants contained in different types of wastewater, and the effect of these treatment plants on both society and the environment. So with that being said, let's begin the presentation.
The key objectives that you will learn while watching this tutorial include being able to classify, define, and apply the 3 major levels of wastewater treatment. Next, you should understand the purpose and the impact of a wastewater treatment plant, while also being able to solve technical problems related to some key processes. Finally, you will learn some common water contaminants and the treatments associated with them.
Now it's time to test you on your knowledge on wastewater treatment plants so far. Please pause the video here and take some time to answer the questions shown on the screen. When you are done, please continue the video and the answer to the question will be revealed on the next slide. Okay, now that you've taken some time to answer the question, let's talk about the answer. The answer for this question here is C. The cost for a 150,000 gallon per day wastewater treatment plant approximately costs anywhere between $500,000 to $1.5 million. This cost accounts for things such as equipment, installation, and other things as well.
In the United States, one of the most common forms of water contamination control is through the use of a wastewater treatment plant. The main function of a treatment plant is to process industrial wastewater so it will discharge with little to no harmful pollutants in it. Depending on what level the wastewater is treated at, the water could then be reused for other purposes such as drinking water or commercial use. So continuing on, there are 4 main categories of a wastewater treatment plant. These include sewage treatment plants, activated sludge plants, and common and combined effluent treatment plants. The final category of a wastewater treatment plant are the effluent treatment plants, which is shown here on the right.
As we can see here, we have common contaminants in wastewater. We've spread this through 3 categories: human waste, establishment waste, and industrial waste. This was done to properly categorize where these types of contaminants would occur. Human waste is waste found in a regular home. Establishment waste is something you'd find from a small business. More waste, and sometimes it's unique. An example would be an automotive shop. It has trace amounts of oil or grease in their waste, plus public bathrooms. Industrial waste is how it sounds: company-specific waste involving more harsh or unique chemicals. In the case of our design project, Pfizer has laboratory waste, which include more chemicals and different forms of animal waste. This leads us to discussing the 3 types of wastewater treatment. The first of which is primary, which focuses on the removal of suspended solids through physical processes such as gravity. This is done by moving the sewage through screens and grit chambers for grit removal. Furthermore, solids are removed from sewage in a sedimation tank, in which solids flow to the bottom. After primary treatment, the effluent moves to secondary treatment. At this stage, 85% of organic matter in the sewage is removed. This is done through one of our focuses, activated sludge. To make this occur, sewage is pumped into an aeration tank where it is mixed with air and sludge containing bacteria. This bacteria works to break down organic matter into harmless byproducts. Finally, tertiary treatment is the polish phase to water treatment. Primary and secondary get water only clean enough to discharge into the environment. However, tertiary works to clean water for intensive processes or even drinking water. Tertiary treatment is also beneficial when facilities must discharge water into sensitive aquatic ecosystems such as estuaries, sluggish rivers, or waters close to coral reefs. This is clean water that is being disinfected for further use. This phase typically uses filtration to remove additional pollutants and nutrients such as nitrogen or phosphorus, and then the water is finally disinfected with chlorine and discharged into a body of water or processed for reuse. This is the most effective level of wastewater treatment.
The first of the 3 important water treatment processes we will be giving an emphasis on is coagulation. By definition, coagulation is the chemical process used to remove solids from water by manipulating electrostatic charges of suspended particles. Coagulation reduces the net electrical repulsive forces at particle surfaces by adding coagulant chemicals, of which the most commonly used are aluminum sulfate and iron. Opposite charges enable particles sticking together to form stable and well-suspended flocks, which are larger clusters of solids that look like clumps of dirt. These heavier flocks then sink and make sedimentation faster. For coagulation to be effective, rapid or flash mixing is required for the coagulant to be rapidly and uniformly dispersed through the wastewater. This process usually occurs in a small basin immediately preceding or at the head of the coagulation basin. Here, colloids are destabilized and the nucleus for the flock is formed. Ultimately, the aim of this process is to promote the clumping of fine particles into larger flock so that they can be more easily separated from the water. The next key process in wastewater treatment we are going to discuss is flocculation. The formation of flocculates is very important to the operation of water treatment systems. This step immediately follows coagulation, and by definition it can be described as the separation of solid particles from a liquid to form loose aggregations or soft flakes. This separation is achieved by stimulation through mechanical means to agglomerate destabilized particles into compact, settleable particles, otherwise known as flocks. The flocks can then settle to the bottom of the liquid, otherwise known as sedimentation, or be readily filtered from the liquid. For this process, slow mixing is done in order for the finely divided destabilized matter to come together and allow for the growth of the flocks to take place. The end goal for this process is to cause the fine-moving destabilized particles to come into contact and become large, readily settable flocks. The final wastewater treatment process we are going to touch upon is the activated sludge process. This process can be defined as a method for treating wastewater using aeration and biological floc, which is made of mostly bacteria, but also contains protozoa and fungi, known as biomass. The main goal of the activated sludge process is to convert non-settleable substances into settleable sludge, which is removed from the water. To do this, most of the BOD, or biochemical oxygen demand, needs to be removed from the wastewater. The organic matter in the wastewater still represents a high demand for oxygen, which must be reduced further so that the effluent can be rendered suitable for discharge into a body of water. The biomass uses the BOD and wastewater as their food source and requires a very controlled environment, including a sufficient food source in the form of the BOD and adequate oxygen in order to survive and replenish. As for the organic material, it is removed from the wastewater through the work of flocks of bacteria, which are suspended and mixed with wastewater in an aerated tank. The bacteria use the organic pollutants to grow and transform into energy, water, CO2, and new cells, which form the activated sludge. These flocks can be removed in the secondary clarifer by gravity settling, and some of this sludge can be recycled from the clarifer back to the reactor. At a plant, the activated sludge is settled out along with the suspended solids present in the wastewater, and later discharged to an anaerobic digester, dried, and then disposed of in a landfill. The activated sludge process is currently the most widely used biological wastewater treatment process in the developed world.
Before we're done here, it's time to test you one last time on your knowledge on wastewater treatment plants. Please pause the video here and take some time to answer the question shown on the screen. When you are done, please continue the video and the answer to the question will be revealed on the next slide. Okay, now that you've taken some time to answer the question, let's talk about the answer. The answer for this question here is C. Electrolysis is not one of the processes included in wastewater treatment. This is because electrolysis is the use of electric currents to drive a non-spontaneous chemical reaction, which doesn't relate to wastewater treatment at all.
So that concludes our presentation, and we hope you enjoyed learning a little about what a wastewater treatment plant is. Don't forget to do the quiz at the end of the video, and thank you for watching.